My name is Naya Toussaint, and I am a member of Haitian Studies Emerging Scholars Committee that is hosting this cafe. For those who may not know, the Emerging Scholars is loosely defined. I don't think we have really an age or a how could I say this, Irene, maybe, but like
A status.
a status there. You knew there was a status, whether you're a professor or if you're an undergrad. We like for you, for those who join our events, to define themselves as emerging scholars in whatever season of life that they might be in. So we are so glad that you all are here and to hear from our emerging scholars. I believe we've been doing these cafes for over a year now, and they are a time for folks who are questioning, researching a particular thought or idea to present that research in a relaxed and warm and good space. And so we are so thankful for Magali, who has cultivated this space throughout the years now, and for all of those who have shown up in the past and for those who will be presenting today. Um, I somehow always feel the need to just call us into the room, even though it's virtual, together, in the ways that our ancestors have, as Haitian folks, and to the best of our abilities to do that. And so today the question, sometimes it's been a song, sometimes it has been a libation, but today the question that I think has been ringing in my mind that has been passed down for generations is Qui est moun ouye? Whose people are you? A question that might be posed to you to identify yourself, somewhat like Qui est ouye? Who are you, right? Or how are you named? Where do you come from? And so I just want to pause as I ask you all that question. And you can think to yourself, and I will leave some silence for you just to think about that. Qui est moun ouye? Qui est moun ouye? Qui est ouye? Qui est ancêtre? Hmm.
Do you want us to answer that question or to think about it?
Just think about it. Let's all think about it. We will have time for our speakers to answer. But I will ask one more time for the group. Qui est moun ouye? Qui est ouye? Ils ancêtres. Côté ou sorti. Qui est moun ouye? Ayi bobo, to all that you are. And with that being said, if you would like, to answer that question in the chat, I invite you to give some energy in our chat, Qui est moun ouye? So that we can know who is in the room. Who are your people? Who are you? Maybe what part of Haiti did you come from? Were you born? What brings you here? I'll give that a second for our chat to get a little energy.
Okay.
And so, just to make sure, because I don't think I can see everyone. Okay, yes. Dr. France Neff is here, and we will begin with you on the topic of Haitian immigrant families' view of acculturation. Sorry that my sound is going crazy. I'm so sorry, everyone, if you could hear that. How do I stop this? 1 second. Okay, I'm gonna start again. Dr. France Neff, who will be presenting on the topic of Haitian immigrant families' view of all acculturation, an interpretive phenomenological analysis. So, Dr. Neff, qui est souillé? Qui moun ouye?
Good morning. What an interesting question. Qui est moi? Qui moun moi? I was born in Port-au-Prince. My parents are from Bel Air, and I was raised in Haiti until I was 10 with my grandparents, and joined my parents in Boston at the age of 10, and then traveled to Haiti as an adult in the late 90s. So who I am is grounded in that being raised in Boston, we were still raised within the culture that my parents held so close and dear. And I can go into my presentation now?
Absolutely. And just if you keep an eye on your chat, I will give you a little time check when you have about 10 minutes.
Okay, and I can share screen.
Yes.
It says it's disabled.
Oh, sorry. Magali?
Okay.
Got it? Okay.
Got it.
Thank you.
And so I will be doing my presentation focusing on Haiti. And the title of my dissertation was, and let me just add to who I am, is that I just graduated with a doctorate in international psychology from the Chicago School of Professional Psychology. So I consider myself an emerging scholar because this is new territory for me. So I focused on Haitian immigrant families' view of the acculturation process. Why this is important to me, this research is
Oh, I do believe
Yeah.
Dr. Neff
frozen.
yes, she did let us know in advance that her internet was a little bit unstable today. So hopefully she can rejoin us. While
Naya, is it okay if I put the short description of her presentation in the chat in the meantime?
absolutely. And while we wait, because it seems okay, she's coming back in.
back in on my phone, which definitely
Okay, here we go.
it doesn't give me presentation access.
Oh, let's see if we can do that. Magali, it's family independence.
But on my phone, I can't present. So
If you would like to send it to me, then we can do that. But would you like for another speaker to go? Is that okay?
yes,
And
please.
while we set you up, okay.
Yes, thank you. So sorry.
No problem. Okay, so let's see. Our next speaker is And please correct me if I'm wrong, Dulanda Saintcyr. Did I say your name correctly?
Dulanda Saintcyr.
Dulanda Saintcyr. Merci.
Dulanda.
Dulanda, sorry, I'm
Yes.
sorry, Dulanda. Thank you for telling me who you are. And now I will and Dulanda Saintcyr who has a degree in political science and African American studies, will present on the topic of political engagement and Black liberation. And so Dulanda, qui est mun uye?
So in short, I'm someone who doesn't let anything stop her, but outside of that, I am a Haitian American. Both my parents are from Haiti. I was born in the United States. Um, and I've spent, I guess the latter part, well, not latter part of my life as if I'm older, but my young adult years, trying to learn more about my culture in any way that I could. And so that's how my project that I'm presenting today came to be. And let me screen share. Okay, give me one moment. Alrighty. Okay, so hello everyone. My name is Dulanda Saintcyr, and the project I'll be presenting today is titled Black Liberation in Transnational Terms, the Case of Haiti and the United States. Oh, no, that's too. Great. So a little bit about me before I get into the nitty-gritty of my work, because I feel like knowing the person behind the work is just as important as the work itself. And so, as previously stated, my name is Dulanda Saintcyr. I use she, her pronouns. I graduated from Virginia Commonwealth University this past spring, magna cum laude, with a Bachelor of Arts degree in Political Science and African American Studies. And in my 3 years at VCU, I was sort of in a mix of everything, both in the classroom and outside of the classroom with my extracurriculars. And there were two achievements in particular that I feel like really speak to my academic career as a RAM. For instance, I received the Excellence of Political Science Award the day before the graduation ceremony. I was nominated among the VCU political science faculty members for the work that I did both in and out of the classroom. And I was also the 2023-2024 Fulbright United States Student Program semifinalist as I was completing a proposal to study research in South Korea. And my academic interests include political engagement and Black liberation. And this project speaks to both of these things. And a fun fact about me is that I crochet. So while I'm not speaking, I'll be working on this sweater. And to the left over here, I have a picture of me wearing a Carabella dress when I was in high school, speaking about Haitian culture as part of a sort of international day where everyone dressed up in their different cultures. And then during lunchtime, anybody could get up and speak on who they are. All right, so my project came to be when I enrolled in the capstone seminar and Africana Studies course under the advising of Dr. Grace D. Gibson. And this project is a blend of both my interest in Black liberation, political engagement, as well as an homage to my cultural background as a Haitian American. And so the question I set out to answer was, how has the Haitian Revolution shaped our perception of Black liberation in the United States? So my theoretical framework, or the theory that my work was rooted in, was Black transnationalism. And so I approached this theory as sort of having a two-part sort of thing to it. And so I added the word Black to the framework because the study focuses on the Haitian and American communities within the Black diaspora. So I wanted to take the general definition of transnationalism, which I have right here from an article Fishkin released in 2005, the ways in which ideas, people, culture, and capital have circulated and continue to circulate physically and virtually throughout the world. And I felt this was a very fitting theory because as I did my literature review, I noticed that some of the ideas that the Haitians had in their quest for freedom during the Haitian Revolution sort of migrated their way over to the United States, especially during the slavery era, Civil War era, and the Haitians were a source of inspiration for the Black Americans as they themselves were trying to liberate themselves. And so here I have my variables, which I felt were important to define early on in the project. So if anybody is new to what I'm talking about, they have a good idea of what's to come. And so the Haitian Revolution, I defined it as when enslaved Haitians organized among themselves to gain independence from France toward the end of the 18th century. I realized that the Haitian Revolution is so much more than a sentence, but for the purpose of the study, I really wanted to capture it at its core for accessibility purposes. And since I was measuring the impact that the impact that the Haitian Revolution had on Black liberation, I felt it was important to define impact, Black, and liberation. And so impact, I define it as a source of influence or inspiration. Black, an individual who has both Black skin and cultural ties to the African continent. And liberation, I had used a quote that I found at the Black History Museum and Cultural Center of Virginia, based in Richmond, which is freedom is being viewed without anyone's permission. And that really resonated with me when I visited the museum, because really that's what it's all about, being able to be who you are in the space without having to worry about someone else's prejudice or stereotypes against you that can really hinder your quality of life. And so the central argument guiding this project was that the Haitian Revolution challenged notions of Black people and their capabilities. While the Haitians' actions prompted fear among white Americans at the time, their courage to seek freedom also invigorated Black Americans and their allies to fight for a better life. All right, so my methodology, I designed my own survey. This is my very first time ever designing a survey with the help of various qualitative research methods books. And so right here, I have a screenshot of the survey's introduction. The entire survey was crafted in Google Forms because of how easy to use and the clean interface. And so right up here, I have like the first paragraph stating who I am, what I was affiliated with, what the survey is for. And then I included a quick blurb about the goal of the survey. It was eligible to participate. So legal age adults based in the United States at the time of completing the survey. I had the survey open for about 16 days. I released it on a Tuesday during my spring break and closed it about a week and a half after spring break closed. I added the approximate survey completion time, just so right up front people know how much energy that they'll need to put into completing the survey, because I feel that can make or break the response rate. And then I added the additional information section saying that there's no right or wrong answers to the survey and that the responses will be kept confidential. And so in the 10 days that the survey was open, I collected a total of 29 responses from a mixture of people of backgrounds, age groups, time zones, their professions. And so to analyze my data, I did a constant analysis, which I did it in the unconventional sense, in that technically you're supposed to have the software and you throw everything in, it'll like code everything. But due to resource constraints and time, I analyzed everything by hand by copying and pasting all the text responses into a Google document. I was sitting, reading through everything several times, looking for the key ideas myself. And so out of all of that reading, I reached these two conclusions. The first one being that the awareness of the Haitian Revolution and its connection to Black liberation in the United States varies. This doesn't really come as much as a surprise to me, just given how our curriculum varies throughout the United States. And I feel like, especially now as we see attacks on the telling of Black history in classrooms, it doesn't surprise me that it's very different across the board. But the second finding really was more of the benefit in this sense, because most people were able to identify what Black liberation is, what that looks like to them. And the answers were generally all on par with each other. And I feel like the 2020 Black Lives Matter movements especially had something to do with that, as talks of anti-racism and anti-Blackness was common in that time. And so in terms of promoting my survey, social media was a really big factor in that. So I was utilizing Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. I did a couple word of mouth. And so Instagram was my main one. And every couple of days or so, I would craft some sort of Instagram story graphic relevant to the survey in some way. And so here on the far left, we have the picture of me back in high school. I thought that was nice, like good opener. And then in the middle, I have a screenshot of me looking at the survey letting people know, like, thank you so much to those who have participated so far. Here's a reminder that it's open for another 9 days. I was sure to say, please don't submit more than one response, just to make sure there's, the data is accurate as possible. And then here on the far right, I have another picture. I took this picture at the Black History Museum and Cultural Center of Virginia in Richmond, once again, because there was these interactive screens detailing pivotal moments of Black history. And so when I saw that the Haitian Revolution was on there, I was like, oh, I could use this in my project instead. And here I have all these captions showing when the date was posted in the Times. And so overall, completing this study afforded me the opportunity to expand my skill set as a researcher, which is especially important as I plan to attend grad school in the coming year and hadn't really done a research project as grand as this one in the past. And I engaged with my communities in a new way, especially through the survey by reading everyone's responses, because most of the people, while I didn't know who wrote what, they were people that I am in community with, especially on social media. And it was also just a great way to learn more about my culture, especially when doing the literature review aspect and looking into how all of the different ideas. And so here are my references. All right, that's all. Thank you so much for listening.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful, bravo. Thank you so much. And so we will have time for questions, everyone, but we will let all of our speakers go first, and then we will open it up for conversation, as that hopefully can cultivate some conversation across the three projects being presented. And so I'm going to jump back and see if is a good time for Dr. Neff. Okay, I see you now. Would you like for me to present, or do you think it will work with your?
You can present. I sent it to you, but the other option is to go ahead and log back in with my laptop, and then I have it up.
Sorry, it was a little bit challenging to hear you.
So I said you can go ahead and do the presentation. I can log back in with my laptop.
Okay, I think you said no, your audio still isn't clear, so. But no, is it clear for others? Okay, so no, your audio isn't clear right now.
Okay, I'll log back in.
Okay. Okay, so our next presenter, just want to see, I haven't seen them. Are they here? I'm sorry. Oh, yes, you are here. Please correct me with your name, Marcea? Marcea? Marcea T. Daiter? Daiter, okay.
Yes.
Well, so wonderful to have you and to meet you.
Thank you.
Uh, Marcea is a PhD student in interdisciplinary studies with a concentration in humanities and culture at Union Institute and University, and we'll be talking about ritual, spirituality, modernity, and creativity. So, Marcea, I asked you the question, Qui est moun ouye? Whose people are you?
I'm the people of the universe. Actually, I'm African American. My family's roots are Alabama and Mississippi, and also Native Indian by way of Florida. I had a great grandmother that was on a reservation in Florida, and she traveled up the Mississippi and met my great grandfather. Several people on both sides of the family. I've been to Haiti twice. I went the first time to teach at a friend's school, and the second time I received a fellowship, a Suriname fellowship, and I went to do some research on Haitian dance and culture, and I was able to take those things and share them with my students after I finished researching. I was teaching in a public school system here in New York City, and I retired in July. Many things have transpired since then. And unfortunately, I just received some news of one of my Haitian mentors, dance teacher. He just passed. I don't know if anyone knows Lunis Lunis. He passed an hour ago. I treasure him he's very close to my heart because he helped me with a project, so, and he also worked with Jean-Leon Destiné. Okay, I don't know if anybody knows who those people are, but they're from the old school in Haiti, old school. Okay, so my research, can I share my screen? I'm gonna share my screen.
I
Okay.
believe so. Please let us know if you need.
Okay, hold on. Oops. Let's see here. All right. Now I need to move up a bit. All right. I have been dipping around in the PhD program in various classes, and I started reading articles, on Haitian dance and spirituality. I am a certified Catherine Dunham instructor and studied at the Dunham School in East St. Louis for many years. And it came across that there was a woman named Maya Deren that worked with Catherine Dunham for a while. She actually wanted to be in Catherine Dunham's company, but Ms. Dunham said, no. So Maya Deren went further and did some of her research and studies in non-Western dance forms and religion, particularly Haiti, and in film work. So both of them drew from non-Western dance forms. They were influenced by the rhythm, the forms, the spirits, and the passion of the dances that they viewed and studied. That compelled them to motivate them to create new works. Their works are autobiographical and abstract, and they use a lot of traditional, cultural, urban, and contemporary movement and rhythms. Can art be created? This is one of my questions. Can art be created from ritualistic movement? Well, Catherine Dunham and Maya Deren felt that ritual was irrelevant to Western society and used their own experiences of Haitian voodoo to create work embodied in the Africanist approach to the dancing body. Each of them explored modern approaches to spirituality that presented an alternative to the ideas of disembodied transcendence, which runs through the European philosophical tradition. They both understood ritual and were aware of the limitations of the dualistic ways of conceptualizing embodied experiences of 17th and 18th century European philosophy. Both of them were marginalized women, and they were daring in their quest for a deeper understanding of spirit and ritual with roots from the African diaspora in modern times, particularly Haiti. Deren discovered ritual through Dunham and used it as a key device in creating new ways for her research and experimental work. Sorry, guys, I'm sorry. I should have turned off my phone. Modern technology. Okay. They were both marginalized women and daring in their quest for a deeper understanding of spirit and ritual with roots from the African diaspora in modern times. Deren discovered ritual through Dunham and used it as a key device in creating new ways for her research in experimental film work. Catherine Dunham and Maya Deren both received fellowships for their creative work. Dunham's fellowship was from Rosenwald and Guggenheim, and she went to study, did her master's thesis in Jamaican, Martinique, and Haitian culture and dance. Deren received the Guggenheim Fellowship for creative work in the field of motion pictures, and she won a Grand Prix International 16mm experimental film at the Cannes Festival for her film Meshes of the Afternoon. I was reading an article that Ramsey Burke wrote on ritual, spiritual, modernity, and African diaspora. He said that each one of them, Dunham and Dern, explored a modern approach to spirituality that presented an alternative to the ideas of disembodied transcendence, which runs through the European philosophical tradition. His aim in his article was to examine Darren and Dunham's understanding of ritual and how their appreciation of the effective power of ritualistic movement practices amount to a rethinking of the modern body. Ms. Dunham, as everyone, or if you don't know, was a biracial African-American, a choreographer and anthropologist of Caribbean culture and dance. She was born in Chicago, and she wanted to educate Black and white people by writing about and creating dance with the rich dance culture that developed from the African diaspora. Maya Deren was born in Kiev and Jewish. Her family migrated to the US in 1922, fleeing from the Ukrainian SSR because of anti-Semitism by the White Volunteer Army. The two artists met after Darren wrote to Dunham suggesting a children's book and cross-cultural composition of Haitian and Balinese ritual and Western children's games on dance. Dunham later hired Darren to be her personal secretary and publicist when she was writing up her findings from her anthropological fieldwork in the mid-30s in Haiti and other parts of the Caribbean. A year after Darren arrived to Haiti, she changed her plans about writing a children's book, and she wanted to authenticate the rituals she observed and studied. This resulted in a synergy of art and ethnography that changed her filmmaking. Dunham's fieldwork influenced Darren's studies in Haitian culture and voodoo mythology, and it led Darren to create groundbreaking, dreamlike, and haunting experimental films, taking the viewer on a magical trip into altered states of the consciousness. Darren and Dunham both understood ritual and were aware of the limitations of the dualistic ways of conceptualizing embodied experiences of the 17th and 18th century. Dunham and Darren's writings discuss the experience of ritual is one in which a person becomes part of something larger than himself. This is what Dunham said. They found that Haitian voodoo practices were ways of approaching the spiritual very different from European ideas and metaphysics. They didn't abandon the intellectual ways of thinking when became involved in the ritualistic practices. Dunham's dancing and choreography and Darren's films identified the shortcomings and limitations in comparison with the way their embodied experiences are found within the European philosophy and tradition, more or less to these problems within the African aesthetic experience. Before Durham's trip to Haiti, she wrote an anagram of ideas on art form and film, and she analyzed how the division of magic, science, religion, and philosophy in the 17th century disrupts the consciousness. Darren argued that the process of creation, or creation, artists, magician, and scientists, was similar in making the invisible visible, and discovered that this was true of the priest, priestess, and the religion of Haitian voodoo. In Bert Ramsey's article, he discussed how the industrial and urbanization brought about social change, and how at the end of the 19th century, sociologists recognized the creation of the modern individualistic subject. In Dunham's book, Island Possessed, she wrote about her initiation ceremony in the Rada Dahomey Vodun cult in Haiti to become a Haitian Mambu priestess, and how as a trained anthropologist, she identified the many strategies that were being used to put her and her fellow initiates into a state of mind to become possessed. She mentioned the use of drugs, incense, and burning herbs, and how the repetitive hypnotic movements in the dances that represented the loas, the gods, were able to mount people and possess them, and they would do the movements of those particular gods. Sorry, that's not in the paper. Dunham says she found herself straddling contradictory positions of studying and being initiated, and later wrote, "Where the participant begins and the scientist ends, I surely could not say." She says she never became possessed, but the experience of ritual repetition makes a person lose track of time and everyday experiences. This led Ms. Dunham to choreograph several dances of possession: Rites of Passage, La Agua, and Shango. And she discussed how one loses track of time, how the experience of ritual and repetition can make a participant lose track or let go of everyday experiences, which is called clock time. She felt the connection with something outside of the ordinary of time, where she found harmony with past, present, and future. Maya Deren found herself performing voodoo rituals at home because of her exposure in Haitian ritualism and to the dances that Dunham choreographed, like Leagua and Rites of Passage. These can be seen in Miss Dunham's films, Meshes of the Afternoon, a study in choreography for the camera, and Ritual Transfigured Time. She manipulated time and created choreography that exists on film that could be impossible to perform live. And I have a excerpt of Tally Beatty doing something in a study in choreography for camera for you guys to look at later. Her film manipulations of time and space, where the dancing bodies were central, drew on ideas about possession that she was introduced to by Ms. Dunham. My question: can art be created from ritualistic movement? We're going to look at one of Maya Deren's. Let's see. Here we go. Sorry, guys. I always worry about, am I going to be able to, bring this footage up? Here we go. This is a study for choreography that was done by Maya Deren. The dancer is Tally Beatty, who started dancing with Catherine Dunham when he was about 11 years old.
Marcia, you just might have to switch your share screen because we can just only see the we can't see the video.
Can't see the movement?
No.
Oh no. Oh
So
no.
if you stop, if you pause the video for a second.
I did.
Okay, and if you go
I
back
did.
to share screen in Zoom.
Okay, hold on, let me go. Share screen and stop the share.
Yes, let's stop share. And
Okay.
then hit share screen again. And you're going to select the video, or you could select, if you plan to go back to your paper, I say just share entire screen. And there also might be a little button before you hit share that says share computer audio at the bottom so that we can hear it well.
It just says share sound and optimize.
Yes, sorry, yes.
Share sound?
Yes, please.
Okay, and now share.
Yes.
Okay. Ew. What does it say? To use my computer audio, install Zoom audio device.
Oh, no. Okay. I think we could hear it. If it says you can bypass that, you can bypass that.
Okay. Well, can you see it now?
Yes.
Okay.
Did you want to restart it?
Yes, I will.
Okay.
Here we go.
Excuse me. Excuse me.
Sorry about that.
No problem.
Okay. That's that was Tally Beatty performing in one of Maya Deren's films. And you can see the transcendence of time, moving from one spot to the next. Even Tally himself said, it was really interesting to see myself on a mountaintop, and then all of a sudden I'm in a room. So you can see how she experimented with space, and time. Okay, I don't know if you'll be able to see this one, but how much time do I have left?
Sorry, you have about 5 minutes.
Okay, great. All right, this is an early version of Catherine Dunham's Shango. You might see movement that was done by Tally, because the choreography is fluid in both of Tally's work and Miss Dunham. Here we go with Miss Dunham's Shango. This is an early version.
Hi everyone, my name is Jackie.
Sorry
My
guys,
financial
the
motivation-
commercials we're gonna skip.
Marcea, you could make it full screen.
Huh? Okay, I'm going to stop it there. Okay, as you can see from Ms. Dunham's research, she was able to, to give you a visual influence of what things might look like. A lot of her movement was autobiographical. She did study other forms of movement and dance, but she was affected a lot by what she experienced and saw in Haiti. Okay. I myself got a chance to participate and go to some ceremonies. And this big smile on my face here at the bottom is when I went to Sudo, and I actually did jump in that river.
Sorry.
I jumped in.
Marcea, sorry, can you switch back to
I
your,
did.
oh, we didn't get to see that picture.
Okay, hold on. Let me switch back to my screen.
You're gonna have to share screen, I think, the way you set it up to share back to your presentation. We'd love to see that
Okay.
picture.
Okay, hold on.
It-
Not that one.
Can you make it full screen also?
Full screen.
Once you get the picture up, then to make it full screen.
Okay. You say the picture's too small?
No, we only see so I think you're sharing a different window. So if you could
I'm gonna stop the share.
exactly, just like, and switch back to your document.
Oh, you're absolutely correct. Modern technology. Here we go. Can you see this?
Yes.
I did view a ceremony, a few, and then I actually did go to Sudo, and I heard it was a magical waterfall. And you see my face here. I jumped in, and I was so happy. This is a view of Haiti from my veranda. And while I was there, I did get a chance to go to Catherine Dunham's residency, and I was able to take a couple of pictures. And then this is me at a voodoo ceremony for Ogun. And I was in the Temple Mystique. There are a lot more films and pictures, but these are the ones that I decided to share with you guys. Okay, I'm gonna stop the share.
Thank you. And
You're
Marcea,
welcome.
thank you so much for your presentation. Before we move on, actually, just so we all know, Dr. Neff has decided to reschedule just based on internet issues. So we'll move into comments by Dr. Jackson in just one moment. But I do want to honor, Marcea, that before you presented, you did share with us that you have just experienced a transition. And so if we could just hold some space for you, I do have a little something to jete yon tiglo, to pour a little libation for your newest ancestor as they transition to Guinean. And so if you would just say their name and whatever comes to mind as I pour. Marcea?
Lunis Lunis.
Mm. Mm. Ayi bobo,
Ay Bobo.
Lunis, voye, you soti, men nou pa bliye ou. Vive non Guinéen. Merci pour tout travail. Ayi bobo, ashe, amen. Dr. Jackson, qui est mounou ye?
Naya, so good to see you. So good to see everyone who took some time out of their day to be here. And I want to thank Magali for inviting me and the Emerging Scholars Committee for inviting me. I like to say, I don't get to speak a lot of Creole in my work. I'm here at Morehouse as the Dean of Humanities, Social Sciences, Media, and Arts at Morehouse College in Atlanta, Georgia. But I will take the invocation from Naya to say, Mwen se moun Jacmel, mwen se moun Boston, moun Tigwav, right? And those are, I study race and place. I'm a sociologist by training. And I study not only Haitian diaspora, Haitian immigrant experiences, but I study race and place. And so these places have meaning for me, even though, most of my experience in Haiti is in Port-au-Prince. My mother is Mamam Simunti Jacques Melie, right? And so I always feel a particular connection to that space. So I'm so sorry that we didn't get to hear France Neff's paper on Haitian Immigrant Families' views of acculturation. Her work is the closest to my own scholarly work on Haitian immigrants and their experiences of negotiating space in cities like Boston and also in the place that I find myself in at metropolitan Atlanta. But I love how the two presenters for today really do embody what Naya said at the beginning, that they're in this category of emerging scholars. There really are no boundaries, right? We define what emerging is. We are constantly defining and redefining what Haitian scholarship is. And so I think we really do see that in the two people who presented their works in progress today. Someone at I know it doesn't feel like the beginning, Dulanda, as you finished this degree, this undergraduate degree with distinction. I'm sure you worked very, very hard to get to this point, but it really is a beginning. The beginning of your engagement and work in Haitian studies, and really excited to hear about your inquiries into the connection between how people are thinking about Black liberation in the United States and how they are placing Haiti and the Haitian Revolution in that conversation. I think this is something that we see in this emerging discourse, and yet it is something that has been present for a very long time, right? When we talk about Pan-Africanism, there's a gesture to thinking about this Black transnationalism that you're talking about, right? When people are talking about Black internationalism or negritude or, any variety of these sort of broader conversations about Blackness and freedom and what it means, I hope that in your background research, you sort of stretched beyond the political science literature to explore some of those connections. I was very curious listening to your presentation. I thought it was great that you got 29 respondents in that short of time. Those of us who have endeavored to do survey research, qualitative research, know that when you are doing human subjects research, stuff that relies on other people's responses, it can be hit or miss. But I was also very curious about who your respondents were and what their understandings of Black liberation were. What made you conclude that there was this strong understanding of Black liberation? And I'm also curious about, what did they know about Haiti? What did they know about the Haitian Revolution? I think a lot of the scholarship is critical of the fact that Haiti is sort of frozen in time in a lot of these internationalist discourses, right? That we think about the Haitian Revolution, or we talk about contemporary Haiti, and there's not a lot of conversation of anything that happened in between, right? And so there's this way that sometimes Haiti's influence on these narratives about Black internationalism or Black transnationalism get frozen, right? Where we only talk about the Haitian Revolution or Haiti from a very historical perspective. So I'm really curious about how they defined Black liberation and what they knew about Haiti. So that was my primary question to you. Naya, I'm not quite sure how you want this to go, if you want it to be dialogic or yeah.
This is your time. So yes, if you would
Okay.
like a response, yes, because then we will also have after
Q&A.
after responses from Dr. Jackson, we will open it up for others. So yes, please.
Yes, excellent. So those were the kinds of follow-up questions that I'd love to hear a little bit more about in terms of what your findings were and what are some of the things that surprised you in the responses that you received.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, right. So on the survey, at the start of each new subsection, I would say there's be like a question saying, on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being not at all, 5 being everything, please rate your knowledge. And for instance, the Haitian Revolution. And so people would select their number, and then a follow-up question would be like, describe what you know. So it's sort of like explaining why they chose the number that they did. And I did that for both talking about Haitian Revolution as a whole and also Black liberation as a whole. And so what led me to conclude that there was varying responses is simply because the number scales were all over the place. It was like a very wide distribution, particularly towards the middle. So I'd say between 2 and 3 level. There was only one person to rate a 5, saying that they knew everything about Haitian Revolution. And I think that also just correlates to where the person is in life, because I know that the person who has rated a 5 is a prominent Haitian scholar. So he knows a whole lot about that. And a lot of my respondents are in similar position as me, student, Gen Z, but starting at age 18 and up. And I had a couple of people beyond Gen Z, but it was mostly Gen Z because I'm Gen Z. Most of my circle is Gen Z. And I think what surprised me the most is that there were a lot more people who knew about the Haitian Revolution than I thought, in just like how they came to know about it. There were a couple of people who said they had talked about it in class, which is interesting because I didn't really learn about it or discuss it much until I got to VCU. So it was nice to see the variations of how people came to know about it. And there was even a couple saying, oh, I learned it because I'm Haitian, so that's like part of my culture. And for Black liberation, it was a lot of, Black people being able to exist how they can be. Some people even took it to expand that it includes all Black people. So Black people with various identities being included in that concept, how Black liberation is a gateway to liberation for everybody else. A lot of people really honed in on that. And yeah.
Excellent. I think the where of the knowledge about Haiti and the Haitian Revolution is such an interesting kind of follow-up question. Where do people learn about this, right? You mentioned the variation in your sample in terms of the Haitian scholar versus someone who grew up hearing stories about Haiti and the Haitian Revolution in a more intimate context, in the context of the household or something like that, and how these different sources of knowledge can really shape the connections that we make, and how the stickiness of the information, right? Like, what is it that sticks about what you learn? Not only what you learn, but what is it that resonates, that that you keep coming back to and connect to experiences or other ideas that you have later on. And so those are all interesting questions that I think your project raises, in addition to this idea about, well, what should the Haitian Revolution represent to, in transnational terms, to people who call themselves or think of themselves as participating in these conversations about transnational liberation or liberation movements, right? Like, what should the place of Haiti be? And so those are some of the questions that your work raised, and I just want to encourage you to keep at it and to keep doing it. I think this is a really rich sort of direction in the field of Haitian studies, where we're not just studying Haiti and Haitian history in isolation, but we're at a point in the scholarship where folks are making tremendously important connections and problematizing old, untested, or assumptions that we really did take for granted for a long time in the field. And so this is a moment, I think, where we're stretching those boundaries, and so happy to see you doing that work. On the the idea of stretching boundaries, I want to turn to Marcea Daiter and your work on Haitian ritualistic movement, and first begin with a thank you, and especially thank you for being here in light of the news that you got just a little while ago. And it is always difficult to show up in these spaces and to be sort of focused when there are so many other things calling your attention. But I'm fascinated by this work and this the centrality of Catherine Dunham and Maya Deren in your work. And one of the this question that you asked about art being created from ritualistic movement. I was trying to think about other examples of ritualistic movement, right? So that we can have a counterpoint for that question, right? So on the one hand, you're talking about dances and rituals of Haitian Vodou, but I'm wondering if you were imagining or thinking about a different set of cultural or religious rituals that you might also interrogate in the same way. And then my other main question is, how do we put these works in conversation with scholars and practitioners, people like Dr. Yannick Hume, who I happened to be on her dissertation committee when she was at Emory University. And so I call her name partly, and her dissertation focused on Haitian communities in Eastern Cuba. But anyone who knows Yannick from Haitian studies, from Caribbean studies, or from Kosamba, knows that Yannick is also a dancer and a powerful just presence, who also uses ritualistic movements as not only a form of art, but as a way to interrogate some really important questions about Haitian culture and Vodou. Mm-hmm. And so I wonder how you put someone like her, who is both a scholar and who occupies these different positionalities in conversation with the folks you focus on in your
Mhm.
project.
Yeah, thank you. It's interesting that you mention all these things. I've been to Cuba, and I was very surprised to see Haitian movement in Cuba, which led me to create choreography for a play musical called Prince of Haiti, King of Paris that was done in Miami. And my mentor that just passed was one of my consultants. And there are a lot of different choreographers that create movement from ritualistic points of view. They're not African American. You can say Martha Graham did. There are quite a few of them that have done this. They use the music and the cultures that they're exposed to. I know that the Balinese people have the same thing. I'm quite aware of all of them, and thank you for pointing that out for me to do further studies and research to do a counter balance of everything that I did today. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Now, I really want to open it up to, I know there were lots of comments and suggestions in the chat, and there are so many people who are present who I'm sure want to get in on the conversation. So I want to say thank you for giving me the privilege of asking some questions early, but hopefully we can keep talking.
Exactly. So I open up the floor to questions and conversation for our presenters. And I also open it up for you. I know some of us said it in the chat, but if you would like to speak and you feel comfortable quickly answering the question, qui est moun bouye, to let us know who is speaking.
I will go first. My name is Beatrice Pierre, native natal Haiti. I was born in Port-au-Prince, but I grew up in the north. And actually, I am a PhD candidate at the University of Florida. And I am really passionate about Haitians. And my dissertation is about Haitians that were raised, I would say young adults that were raised by Haitians, but doing farm work in America. So that's why I wanted Dr. Neff to present. But anyway, we had our conversation aside.
Next time to come back.
Yeah.
We're rescheduling.
Yeah, and I should say from the get, I am so glad, uplifted to see so many scholars interested about Haiti. I can tell you based on what is happening to the country now, this morning I felt so depressed. But seeing you, listening to you guys, that gives me hope. My question for Dulanda, congratulations. I love seeing youth coming in this field because actually, yeah, my PhD is in youth development and family sciences. So youth is my passion. Anyway, my question for you, did you look at the distribution for your participants, like male, female, and did you have a chance to look at their answer? Because usually that makes a difference.
Thank you for your question. That's a really interesting point. I did not include a question about gender in the survey, but if I had to speculate, I feel like I got more female responses than male responses, but that's just because of, once again, my circle and who I know. So that would be a really interesting thing to do further on, like including gender and seeing how gender affects the responses.
Thank you. Marcea, may I ask you a question? How did you define spirituality?
How do I define spirituality?
Yeah, in your study.
In my study?
Yeah.
Spirituality is something that one feels inside, and it comes through meditation. I've never really think about it. I make connections to the spirit when I do meditate.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Irene?
Thank you. Is my microphone working? Okay. Um, I'm Irene Brisson. I also, Irene Bisson, Irene, I respond to them all. I'm actually the chair of Emerging Scholars, and I'm just so delighted by this event today. And I thank Naya and Magali for making this all happen. And of course, to Marcea and Dulanda for sharing with us. I was wondering if I could ask sort of take Dulanda's question from her survey and pose it to you, Marcea, with slight modification of asking like, how has Haitian culture, maybe not the revolution specifically, but Haitian dance culture and religious culture changed or informed how you think about Black liberation? I'm thinking especially since you were trained in the Dunham technique, which I know, includes a lot of different Black diasporic practices, but obviously a lot of Haitian ones. So I'd love to hear about, your kind of personal experience there. And then I guess I would love to just hear a little bit more of the qualitative information from Dulanda about maybe what did you learn about how, in the cases where this was present, Haitian knowledge of the Haitian Revolution matched or didn't match with people's responses to what they knew about Black liberation. Thank you.
Okay, that's a lot of questions. Okay. The first one, it's interesting. I'm actually from the south side of Chicago as well. And during the civil rights movement, my mother, I think I was about maybe 10, I marched with my mom, Martin Luther King, Stokely Carmichael, the Blackstone Rangers, the Black Panthers, and we protested and marched from one side of the city to the next for human rights. And it wasn't just human rights for African Americans, it was human rights for all those marginalized people that are sort of pushed to the side, like what's going on right now. So I was exposed very young to the politics of, let's just say, any movement. I look at Black Lives Matter and I go, okay, I remember, the civil rights movements. I remember all of the music and the songs that came from Motown around that time. And it was something that was able to help people or propel people to stand up for their human and civil rights and not be afraid. Fear is something that a lot of us face. And when you are not afraid of something, you just let go. You just let go and do what you need to do, and you keep moving forward. It's just like Dulanda said, nothing's going to stop me. I just remember all of these words about push breadbasket, Jesse Jackson shouting, I am somebody. And I used to say that all the time. And my father would tell me, you're an African American, your family and your culture, you work very hard to get where you are, and I feel that everybody who is even, I heard about Haiti when I was a little kid. A lot of people didn't, at my house, they taught us, the CRT, the critical race theory, which is not new. I grew up with, let's just say, Lerone Bennett was my next door neighbor. So I was exposed to a lot. I'm just trying to see, did I answer any of your questions? It's a lot going on here.
I think I was just really curious about the embodied knowledge you got from Dunham technique. If you could talk about that. Yeah. But I'm really happy for the richness of your life.
Well, the embodied knowledge I got from Dunham technique, interesting you should say that. I already had it. I had it before, and it just brought out more of what I had. The Dunham technique, I become more aware of what was going on and what was presented to me. What can I say? Yeah.
Well, if I could follow up with that, I think that's an interesting statement that you just made, that you already had it, right? that we are talking about dance traditions that are tradition, right? That are passed down, and how a lot of times we learn Black movement through watching and also feeling, and maybe it's because our mothers were dancing when we were in their wombs. We say, oh, this is in our veins, right? Very often. And so maybe what was that like? That process of realizing you already had it, and how does that speak to studying Black tradition, right? Studying Black daily life, right? The things that are in our veins, right? So what was that process for you to realize, oh, I already got this, right? This is in me. And then what did that tell you about being a researcher or a learner of things Black when you are Black? Yeah.
Yeah, you know, family life is very interesting. Growing up with a bunch of aunts and uncles, watching them dance and talk about music and everything, you know, I kind of embodied that very young. So when I got to the Dunham technique, I'm like, wow, you know, this seems like this is what was going on in my family, at my house. So for me to, you know, begin to do the Dunham technique was very natural. Having studied and being influenced by other choreographers as well, who actually studied Dunham. You know, I look at people like Ilio Pomare, who was from Colombia, and his choreography, you know, it's, you know, you get to a certain point and you want to know, where did this come from? And I just used to watch my mom and them dance. My mother danced until she couldn't dance anymore. You know, I watched her. She came to New York and she danced. Her spirit is in my apartment right now. She stayed with me for 30 days. And then I took her home and she passed. So, you know, yeah.
Thank you. Rachel and Len. Sorry, I cut you off, Rachel and Len, with my follow-up question. I'm sorry, you did have your hand raised.
Oh, you're good. You're good. Well, I just want to say I'm fascinated by the presentations. It's amazing. It's amazing. Qui est-ce moi? Bon, m'ka di, m'son nèg indépendant. That's what I put in the chat. Rachel à côté, li pas content, l'aime parler créole, gèle. Son nèg indépendant, on nèg international. Et m'son libre penseur, a free-spirited thinker. There's something that comes to my mind when I was hearing your work, Dulanda. Amazing work. But my question perhaps will ask you to expand beyond your work and think about perhaps topics for future research endeavors. And when I think about Black liberation, one of the things that come to my mind is liberated from what? And the three things that most readily come to mind are white supremacy, white privilege, and white fragility. And these things combined, white supremacy, white privilege, and white fragility, are a really powerful concoction that would have to be overcome for Black liberation. So it's part comment, but perhaps part question too for you, Dulanda. To what extent did you consider some of these concepts of white supremacy, privilege, and power as you were thinking through your research and the Black liberation, some of the questions you were asking?
Thank you for your question. So for when I was crafting together my argument, when I had said that the revolution had challenged notions of Black people and their capabilities, that was inspired by what I came across in the literature, especially when looking at within the United States, how some of our founding fathers, they were very both in shock that the Haitians were able to achieve what they did, but also spooked that it would happen in the United States as well. So I saw a mixture of like common, well, I don't want to use common, but unfortunately common stereotypes we see spewed about when it comes to Black people and what they can do, but also just like a general fear as to, oh no, this could happen here. So I would say the extent to which I considered both white supremacy, white fragility, and white privilege to a good enough extent that would compel me to say that, you know, this was something that really took everyone by surprise, particularly those who were upper class and white. And yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Maybe our presenters have questions for the other presenter. That's also okay too. And I see Terry Khan.
Yes, thank you. Can folks hear me okay?
Yes, did I say your name right?
Yes, Terrican. Thank
Terrican.
you.
Kies Munuye, who are you? Who are your people?
Thank you, Kijaunye, everybody. My name is Terrican. I'm from the Tidewater Chesapeake in Southern Maryland. My folks are farmers and healers and tenders to cities of the dead. And he also my extended family, I have extended family from Haiti, so glad to be here. My question is, listening to the two presentations on dance and embodiment, and then also the presentation around the young people, and then also listening to the reflections that oftentimes when we talk about Haiti, we talk about the revolution or we talk about the present day, but we sort of miss sometimes the in-between, the periods in between that time. My question is, in terms of dance, especially dance within the Black tradition, you know, it's a form of storytelling, because a lot of our traditions are all across the diaspora. So dance is a form of storytelling. I consider dance a form of sacred archiving, really passing our stories from generation through generation through the art of dance, through the embodiment and the spirit of dance. I'm wondering if both of the presenters could speak to whether or not in the Haitian dance tradition or across the Black diaspora, as the dances are handed down, are the presenters seeing any changes or any or anything that the young people may be bringing into the dance space? Just thinking again, how are the generations capturing that time and space between the Haitian Revolution and today? Is any of that coming into the dance and the way that they embody that art and tradition, the way that they're passing dance from one generation to the other?
Okay. Well, from my experience, teaching on a university level, there were a lot of my students that were Haitian that had never experienced any of the sacred dances. You know, there are sacred dances and there are social dances. And a lot of those have changed over the years, and it depends on who they were exposed to. Things are changing every day with the dance world, as we know, just like, you know, the whole issues around gender are changing as well. From my experience, you know, a lot of times the movement is disconnected from the spiritual part of the dance and what it means. And it's just done for the sake of just doing the movement without a connection of what the movement means. You know, I'm a practitioner of capoeira. And when capoeira first came to the United States, I remember there was always a whole ceremony around the spirituality, and they would do certain kinds of things before the ceremony. They would bless the circle, they would pour libation, you know, everybody had to wear a certain color, you know, things were done before, you know, and I'm finding that a lot of people are coming in and they're teaching capoeira, but they're not understanding the other side of it. Just like the dances in Haiti, there's another side to the dances besides movement. It depends on who you study with and how much you want to be exposed. If you do your research, you can find out more about the sacred part of those dances and what they mean, because the social dances of Haiti are different from the sacred dances, you know, and that is what I learned, you know, learning the Dunham technique, and then also from my mentor that just passed, and just from some things that I've been exposed to and have witnessed when I saw certain ceremonies. At one point, I was in Haiti doing the Rada ceremony, and it was very interesting. You know, my car almost got knocked over the cliff on my way from Jacmel. I had never seen anything like it. It was amazing. All these people just, you know, celebrating that time. I think it was around Easter. And it was just very interesting to see the movements. And like I said, the repetitiveness in movements, you can see the same thing in religions here. The Baptists, depends on if you go to a Baptist church, a real sanctified Baptist church, some of the movements are the same. And those things have survived, you know, during the cross-Atlantic travels, you know. And then of course you have a lot of stuff coming from the Caribbean that came up the bottom of the United States and kind of, you know, integrated with everything that was going on. So in regards to the movement and the dances, they are changing. They're changing every day, but sometimes they're not connected to the spiritual part and what those dances mean.
Thank
Hello?
you.
You're welcome.
Lens, Rachel.
Okay, hello again. Just as you were talking, Marcea, I was thinking through your beautiful history you shared about your upbringing on the south side of Chicago. And I couldn't help but think about upbringing as playing a big role in terms of just the way that we see and understand the world and how critical formative years are. So my question to you is, what is to be done amongst people who did not have that opportunity to be raised in those rich traditions that you're talking about of your childhood, attending these marches, seeing these dances, seeing self-expression? I know whether it's in the US or in Haiti, there are youth who are brought up under the guise of white supremacy. And they haven't seen dances, they haven't attended marches, they haven't done basically anything that you've described in your childhood. And so the likelihood that they would even conceptualize Black liberation or be in this space with us talking about this is so beyond what they've been even brought up to believe in. So my question would be, what is to be done for the folks who were not brought up or even aware of the traditions and the dances and the sayings and so on and so forth that you had the privilege to experience?
Well, let's just say, being a teacher of 25 years, I shared some of my experiences with a lot of my students. Some of my students went and did research, and they would come back to me and they would go, wow, I did not know that this happened. You know, and I think it's our responsibility, the older generation, to share our experiences so that they understand the richness of the culture that they come from. You know, it's very important. My family, I felt like my household was a library at some times. My parents had all of these books. I even had encyclopedias on Bible studies. And I'm like, wow, I didn't know that. I hope they saved those. I don't know what happened to them, but like a lot of people were not exposed to those kind of things, you know. grandparents that were Eastern Stars and not Mormons, but like they were in the male version of the Eastern Stars. And understanding those things and growing up and asking questions is very, very important. I find a lot of youth are not interested because of modern technology. You got TikTok, you know. I don't know if you experience being in a classroom and you're trying to teach and the kids are like, I'm on TikTok right now. Can you hold off on what you're teaching? And I'm like, what? You know, it's like modern technology, some of it's kind of damaging our youth. It's really damaging. And I think it's up to the parents, you know, to make some changes in the exposure that a lot of the youth have to this technology. You know, they don't sleep at night. They're on the phone all night long. They're on TikTok. You know, they eat the wrong food. Somebody was talking about health and food. They eat the wrong foods, and that's very, very important to the mind. You know, because eating the wrong foods will make you do the wrong things. I don't know.
Thanks for sharing.
You're welcome.
There are some questions in the chat, and maybe this, Dulanda, would you like to respond?
Yeah.
Yes.
So I guess as a Gen Z, I can definitely say that like social media, while it has the benefit of creating connections outside of like across Wi-Fi's, across IP addresses, I will say that there's definitely it definitely does have its downsides, because I know as somebody who uses TikTok, I like to use TikTok as a form of like inspiration or get a quick tutorial on how to do a certain thing. But I do feel like the way some people use social media, the relationship isn't quite healthy in a sense. Because I know me personally, I need to take social media breaks myself because social media is so integral to my life and it's how I stay connected. But at the same time, I think too much connection can really take a toll, especially with TikTok being short form and that affecting attention spans and things like that. So I will definitely say that parental role, like the parents having a role, definitely needs to be, I guess, upped in making sure that people are connected to culture. But I also think that social media should be, the ways in which we use social media could also be changed as well, because another way that I learned about Haitian culture is through social media. And so I think there's also a responsibility on people themselves to want to seek out the information for themselves instead of expecting like other people to bring it to them.
And I'll respond. I always forget what generation I'm in. I am about to be 30, so y'all could tell me. But you know, I hear concern from our elders in the same tone of what are we gonna do about this, right? Social media, and even in other more deeper questions, right? Of ways that our world is wrestling around gender, sexuality, race, all of these things. And it's like, wow, these young people have a lot of thoughts and they have a lot of new things for us to learn from. And I think I just want to say a similar thing that I said to folks who were really concerned about some of those issues that I just brought up, which was the Pentecostal Church of the United States. And what I encourage them, which I think applies to our conversation here as we're talking about even dance tradition and traditions that are being passed down, whether it is the way we laugh, cook, sleep, dance, whatever it is as Black folks, is that those traditions have carried us through. And when your generation had those questions that you all questioned, it was wonderful for you to put your feet on the ground in the same way as we put our feet on the ground in 1791 and got together, right? And I guess, like I told the Pentecostals, y'all believe in praying and fasting and all of these things. So can you pray and fast with this person, right, about whatever they're questioning, right? Or whatever they're finding out about themselves, whether it be their gender, their sexuality, whether it be their racial outlook, correct? Or whether it be just the traditions. Can we walk through believing that our traditions have carried us, right? And that the ancestors or whoever, just the process will speak to even young people. And can we do that in a way? Can we walk alongside young people with our traditions without wanting the outcome that we may want, without wanting for them to be heteronormative, for them to be, you know, non-gender queer, right? For them to put down their phones, whatever it might be? Can we say, okay, I'm going to walk with you and teach you this tradition, and you might be dancing on TikTok because I taught you how to do this and take this posture. And I'm not concerned about that. I'm concerned about the tradition and knowing that the tradition will give you the answers of those things that you are working with. And that's just been kind of respectfully my question to my elders this year is, can you walk with us and teach us those things that got you through your questions, and let us go through our questioning. And when we come out clear and know that we know, right, that this is who we are, or this is what I love to do in my free time, and this is how I learn, can you support that and find comfort in knowing, okay, I gave you the tradition to do the thing that you got to do now. I do see Dr. Jackson, who I do know has to transition, so I'm gonna let Dr. Jackson.
Yes. And I was just gonna say, Naya, I think the same is true of these academic discourses, right? I mean, it is this not, and it's not a new moment, right? This is not new questions. We've always been expanding the boundaries and making space for new ways of new kinds of questions, new frameworks for understanding and interpreting those responses. And I think it's a similar kind of thing, right? Where scholars in my generation and older sometimes like to say, well, hold on, you know, you need to ask these questions in a particular way. You need to use this particular methodology or this theoretical framing. And that comes from a space of, this is what I learned. This is how I learned. This is how I do this work. And yet, you know, recognizing that it's not the only way. And we're often confronted with students and young scholars, emerging scholars who are in a different place, and they're looking at these bodies of knowledge, some of them created by the scholars who came before them, with very different eyes, right? And different experiences. And it's about making room for that. I often, think about, the work, the real importance of anything that I've done is just being a placeholder for the people who are going to come and do it right from the beginning, right? Like, I had to go through these, this sort of sociological way of seeing, and, almost like hazing, right? And I have no desire to haze younger scholars so that they have to fit their questions within those boundaries. And yes, canons are important, and classical methodologies or approaches are important, but they're not the only, it's not the only way to some sort of version of truth, right? And so the similar kind of point that you made much more eloquently about, religious traditions and conversation, I think we have the same conversation about scholarship.
Well, thank you. I don't know if there's any last comments. I thank you, Dr. Jackson, for those, truly, because I do think they are necessary for us all to chew on. But in respect for everyone's time, are there any last comments? Okay. Well, I thank you all for being here. If you could bear with me for 2 minutes, I just have a few announcements to make that we would like for you all to be aware of. The next cafe will be in November. And I believe I have that date, November 10th. Magali, correct me if I'm wrong, but we may have scholars already.
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay.
But then
Oh, sorry.
November 10.
Okay. So we do have scholars for November. But if you are interested in presenting any work, please reach out so that we can schedule you for a future Emerging Scholars Cafe. Additionally, in just a few weeks, many of us will be gathering on campus with Dr. Jackson at Morehouse for the annual Haitian Studies Association Conference, which will also be a joint conference this year with COSOMBA, which is the Congress of Santa Barbara that does work around.
Just muted yourself.
Uh-oh, sorry. Oh my gosh. I don't know how that happened. I don't know what was the last thing you all heard.
COSOMBA.
COSOMBA. I don't know how I did that. Okay. So COSOMBA, which is the Congress of Santa Barbara, which has historically had a focus on Haitian Voodoo studies, but is expanding its kind of vision and mission to include many of the African traditional religions and spiritualities and those of African heritage. And so this will be a joint conference this year, running between the dates of October 4th through the 8th. On the 5th and 6th, COSOMBA will be opening us up with just stellar conversations and presentations and even some ceremonies. And so we invite you to really, and sorry, Irene, if you could post these things in the chat as I'm saying them, because I'm
grabbing them. Hang on.
And so COSOMBA will happen, and you can see their schedule on that website, and you can register for their conference. Additionally, though this is a joint conference, we ask that you register also for Haitian Studies Association Conference, which will begin on I believe the night of the 6th and go into the 8th. And their schedule is also available on that website. And I will say that if you are interested or planning to join us in Atlanta, that we please encourage you to book your hotels at least, at the very least, if nothing else, your hotel by like today. There is a 20,000 person event also happening in Atlanta this same time. And so if you need accommodations, it may be a little bit challenging, but we really would love to see you and to spend time, get, rejuvenated and before we all go back to our work. As a part of Haitian Studies Association Conference, which is where Emerging Scholars, this cafe is housed, we will have various opportunities for emerging scholars. We are looking for graduate student volunteers to support conference logistics. And we are also hosting, so if you are interested in volunteering, please reach out to Irene, and I believe you will find information about volunteering in some of the materials about conference. Also on that Thursday from 5 p.m. to 5:30, we will have a meet and greet in the Shirley Macy Executive Conference Center. I hope I said that right, Dr. Jackson. Macy? Okay. Massey. Okay. And so on site, there will be signage for the exact location for those who would like to join us Thursday, October 5th, 5 to 5:30 for an Emerging Scholars meet and greet. And remember, we always say, if you think you're emerging, whether you're re-emerging, just emerging, still emerging, please come and be an emerging scholar. On Friday, October 6th, from 12:45 p.m. to 1:45 p.m. We are so excited to get our emerging scholars back together for a luncheon as a part of conference. And this luncheon is to foster meaningful exchanges between established and emerging scholars, creating an environment that encourages open dialogue and collaborative learning. So if you are interested in joining us for lunch, please do RSVP so that we can ensure there is enough for everybody. And I believe that is all my announcements. Irene, Magali.
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you. I put links for all of these things in the chat, but also you can reach out to Emerging Scholars at HaitianStudies.org for any more.
So everyone, we hope to give you a little bit of your time back on this Friday. We just say thank you so much for all that you have shared with us, whether it be your face, your voice, your name, your Zoom name, or Kies Mun Uye. We thank our presenters for all that they have shared. We hope that you have found this space to be helpful. We hope that we challenged you because we are better together, and we would love to see how your research continues to develop. So please know that I don't think there's any rule that says you can't come back with a new iteration and revision of your research. And I want to remind you all, that's why books have first and second editions and third editions, because these people who present themselves as very smart missed something in the first edition, right? And so please know that we are here together to wrestle together and to get it to where you are ready for it to be done and for you to move on. But I also encourage everyone who's here to really wrestle and question that research question maybe of your own life, of Kies Mun Uye. We thank you for being here. We thank you for continuing to emerge with us as emerging scholars. And we hope to see you in Atlanta. And we hope to see you at the next Scholars Cafe. Thank you, everyone.